I know Mueller has been the face of all this, but when you think about the U.S. attorneys, like, remember, he got rid of most of the U.S. attorneys. The people that are coming after him now are the very people he put in power.
That's a great point.
So everything is burning around him. And if
point.
anything, I think Trump's going to self-destruct. You know, I think we just have to look at his words, his deeds, his actions. I mean, Andrew went through the list. Like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I don't think there's anything for us to question right here. I think the one thing that we should be taking away from it, if nothing else, is the hypocrisy. The one thing that his spokesperson said, who, mind you, did not actually flat out deny that the comments were made, he deflected and talked about the president wanting people in this country who could actually contribute to it. I think many of the immigrant groups that have been raised and mentioned, both in the past and most recently in the remarks, absolutely are doing that. Some of them have served in our military. There are doctors, there are lawyers. So if anybody is contributing to this country and should be here, it's those very people that he's, I think, tried to keep out. If anything, they're more patriotic than he is. The word is courage. These kids have political courage. I remember what it was like when I was a kid and Columbine happened. I think everyone in my class, everyone in our school lived in fear, are we going to be next? But this generation, they inspire me because instead of just being in that space of fear, they've, taken their fear and turned it into action. And they've done exactly what adults should be doing. And one thing that I think about when I think about this movement that's happening all across the country is I think of the civil rights movement. If we look back to it and its success and its gains, so much of it was because of the young people that had the courage to stand up, whether that was to march, whether it was to sit in, whether it was to boycott or to freedom ride, that really turned the tide. And so I am hopeful because you have a new generation that's civically engaged and they care. And if the adults aren't going to listen, they've clearly said that, we're going to vote you out and make the change. So that's really inspiring. So the money that you're spending on Shirlane to make these trips, anyone else in the administration, because they are priorities for the mayor, making sure that we're supporting people, U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico, our neighbors, making sure that we are doing outreach on mental health, which is when Shirlane traveled to Atlanta and participated in a lot of events and met with Rosalind Carter. That would have been done by whether it was a health commissioner or someone else in the administration. In fact, I think New Yorkers are actually benefiting because Shirlane is not getting a paycheck. She's doing the work that would be done irrespective of that.
And you will surely be my spokesperson because that was a great spin on the First Lady. So historically, we've had First Ladies that take a backseat role, if you will, and I don't know if that sounds sexist, but
it does.
Okay, it does.
I'm sorry, I have to jump in here. You mentioned a lot of first ladies prior before that, and you said just because you're not used to it. Well, you know, it's been 4 years, Dominic. I need you to get used to it.
Right.
It is what's happening now.
All
they can do is go after the president. I think it's really important when I talked about strong leadership and having Nancy Pelosi, who's been around and a veteran. She's seen what happened back 20 years ago, and she knows how it could go, how much it could bite you if you're a Democrat if you go too far. So I think there's going to be very measured leadership. I don't think there's going to be any move towards impeachment. I think they're going to be slowly trying to work on legislation, bipartisan legislation that's going to move the country forward. Look at the criminal justice reform bill. So that actually, that's passing. For me. I had the opportunity to work in the Justice Department where you had Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, and to see all of the work that they've put in and all of those gains being eroded, it's disheartening. But I don't want to say that we should lose hope, because what I think is happening is all of these attacks on justice at every level is actually galvanizing people and bringing them together. So in some ways, this might be our new modern day civil rights movement, but it's just going to take everyone working together to push back against it all. Well, I think having the governor and the mayor together and on the same page was a win for New York. And I think 25,000 jobs, in theory, is great for the city. I think what remains to be seen is what type of investments are going to be put into infrastructure and transportation. I think in order for all of this to be successful and to be deemed as a success in New York City, you have to have a lot more community engagement and engagement with local elected officials than has happened so far.
In fact, Scott,
communicating effectively, constantly, and then sharing information with the public as you have it. I think that's critical.